Hi, this is Steve Gold for Real Time with IPC. Joining me is Mike Cieslinski. He is the Senior Engineer for Panasonic and also the Chair of the Standards Development Committee that's developing IPC 9850.
Yes, that's correct.
Also with me is Dave Torp, as he will be throughout the week. He is the Vice President of Standards Technology for IPC. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. Tell me a little bit about your standards work. What are you doing?
We're actually bringing the standard back and we're going to revitalize it. It hasn't really changed since its inception and when it came out in 2002. And since then, the industry's changed, the design of the machine has changed. So what we really want to do is update the standard so that it fits today's current market and machines. And we have to make some changes to it to bring it back to its original intent, which when it came out in 2002.
So taking me through the development process, what kinds of changes are you discussing?
Well, when this first came out, the industry was really focused around a chip shooter and a placement machine, a fine pitch placement machine. And because of that, it was set up in a certain way. And basically you'd run a board through a machine and that one machine was basically the whole product, right? But now with the new modular systems that all the equipment's coming out is how scalable it is, it doesn't really make much sense. You need to do it more on a line basis and because you can just keep adding modules in the current setup and because of that, you would have all these different 9850 numbers, which just would confuse the user of it because you could possibly, for one configuration of a line, have 50, 75 different IPC 9850 numbers. And so we got to come back to the original intent, which is to allow a customer to look at a 9850 and compare vendors and say, this is their speed for what they're proposing, this is the speed for what we're proposing. And so they can make a comparison and have that speed and accuracy and have that knowledge. And so that's what we're going to sit down and try to do is bring it back to that intent with today's newer technology.
And about how many vendors are participating in this?
We'll probably have all the vendors here participating at some level or another, and we're hoping to get as many user and customer inputs as possible too. So that way it's a well-rounded standard. When we did it the first time we'd have every vendor, and we had most of the major EMS suppliers had representation. We had a lot of customer representation because in the end this standard is for them as well as for the vendors, and it's going to make it easier for them to compare equipment and know what they're getting, and so it won't be as long process. And what the vendors get out of it is we don't have to do as many special requests for board simulations and stuff because now they can narrow down their search. A customer doesn't have to start the search with every single vendor out here. They can say, hey, these are in the range of what I really need. And so then they can focus more on that specific area. So, I mean, it helps both groups.
Is there ever a point in a time when you're developing a standard like this with so many different voices and so many different, honestly, concerns over your own equipment? Any fights you have to get through?
It is definitely an interesting standard from that side because, I mean, everybody would like to have the standard show their equipment in the best light. But that's not what we're really trying to get with the standard. We're trying to show it so that a user can compare the average board. And a vendor company like Panasonic or any one of them may have boards that they can run faster than the IPC number, and they may have boards that run slower than the IPC number. But that's not the point of the standard. The standard is to say, hey, this is a ballpark. This is an average board. How do you do on it compared to your competitors? And so you do definitely get some people saying, hey, I want this to be more like this because it will be advantageous to them. And that's actually where the customers come in, and them being on the committee is vital to us because they come in and say, no, I just want to be able to compare these things in an average way, and this is what would be beneficial to me. And they tend to be our referees between all the vendors. They're the ones who kind of sway exactly where it goes. We throw out all the ideas, and they say that's the one that makes the most sense.
That's good. That's good. An impartial judge.
Yep.
Now I can't help but notice how young you are, if you don't mind me saying, and through the week we meet people that have a little age advantage on you, and I also notice your passion. Dave, for you, how does it feel to have somebody younger leading one of your standards development work?
Well, it's fantastic, and it's really what we want to be doing with the IPC is transferring that knowledge, that base of knowledge from the what I'll call old generation to the new generation, and is reflected in the existing standard. It was developed in 2001. It's old technology, and I was around and doing surface mount equipment evaluations in 2001. And the technology's changed. And if you look at the rate at which the technology changes, if you do not stay current in the technology, you start to fall further and further behind. So the standards of old aren't a good proxy measure for the equipment of the day. And you do need the subject matter experts, regardless of their age. And if you take a look at the programming and the vision systems and everything that goes into the equipment today, it's completely different than it was in 2001. And it's the youth who have that subject matter expertise now. It's not the old timers such as myself who used to know, but we don't know any longer. And it's the algorithms and it's the way things can do and process. And so we're greatly appreciative of getting that youth and the enthusiasm within the IPC.
It's almost depressing for me to think that, you know, we were talking about 2001, and that's going to be the age division line. I'm feeling really old right now, Dave. Thanks.
Glad I could help.
Well, I do appreciate you both coming in. Once again, this is Michael Cieslinski. He is with Panasonic. Dave Torp of IPC. I'm Steve Gold for Real Time with IPC. Thank you for watching.